Good.
You going?
Yep.
Alright, so I'll do my presentation and discussion. Mainly just a discussion. My presentation is, we'll go through that as well. So I'm Matt. This is my brother Charlie. And Kyle Miller. How are you doing, Flanagan? So, I read the book MacBeth. And it was a play by Shakespeare, obviously, because that's the unit we're on, and it was pretty good. It was fun, good read, but it's very bloody bath. So I'm going to give Charlie a little rundown here. Is that alright, guys?
Sounds good.
Alright, so about this guy, he wants to become king, and he has to kill people. He wants to become king, and he doesn't know he's going to win, so his wife shows him a method of killing people to becoming king. She's like, you got to do it. You got to go out there, and you got to kill your opponent. You got to go out there, and you got to get feisty a little bit. You got to man up a little bit. What does MacBeth do? What do you think?
I think he does exactly that.
What? Yeah, he does exactly that. He kills one of his best friends, you know. Bango. Done.
Banger or Bango.
Done. Duncan? Done. It's a crazy story. So it's kind of related to everyday life, you know. You ever know someone that cares only about themselves and all they think about is them? And we'll start with Miller and we'll go down the line. Do you know that person that just would literally do anything just for themselves and doesn't care? Let's not use names because this video will be on YouTube, please.
Yeah, I do know that guy, and you know, there's a lot of people who just, you know, they'll do whatever they want to get what they need, but I feel like that's not so much the case for MacBeth, because I think it's more of his wife forcing him to do stuff, but eventually she gets him down the path where he does become that guy when he's not from the start.
Yep, I agree. So Charlie, he doesn't want to become this bad guy, but his wife is, like I said earlier, showing him how to be a rude, brutal kind of person. So, you know anyone that's, you know, like we said, like, in a sense of like MacBeth?
Yeah, I think you can relate that to like everyday life where you got one person like who wants to show off the other person, try to like not stick up for them, like follow in their shoes, whatever they want, just to try to fit in. I feel like how you're explaining it, he just wants to make his wife proud, like, you know, do what she wants because he's her husband. I mean, because he's her husband.
Yeah, that could be. You never know here with MacBeth and Lady MacBeth. But let's keep moving down with the summary. So as we go on here, MacBeth is having people do dirty deeds for him, you know, killing people so he doesn't get caught, you know. He's giving convict murders. He doesn't. That's a great quote, actually. Let's see if I have it here. Quote. Let's see what quote it is.
So people are doing his dirty work, so he's not the one like getting in trouble for this.
Exactly.
So he's smart.
He is smart. He's a very intelligent man. He knows what he's doing. At first, he has a conscience. He's like, I don't want to do this. And then as it goes on, he's like, I'm going to do it.
It's really his wife who caused him down the big downfall.
Yeah. I don't have the quote word for word, but let me see more. It was something in the line. I wrote this down. It was something in the lines of, he didn't want to get his hands dirty after he killed it was Duncan, correct?
Yep.
He didn't want to get his hands dirty after he killed Duncan. And his wife's like, go wash your blood off your hands, and everything will be fine. Right, Mills?
Mm-hmm.
So pretty much what she means is, if you go wash your hands, go get some sleep, and don't think about it anymore. But us being human beings like we are, and being straight-minded, we know like that's not the right way to do it. Right? Like, what do you think? Mills?
I'm going to say, I think the same thing too, you know, like his wife tried to get him to go back and put the dagger back. He said he didn't want to see a dead body back there that he killed. And
it's his kinsman.
Yeah, I don't think I would ever want to see anyone dead, really, but you know.
Yeah, it's just a tough situation with, I know, obviously it's like a different day and age, right?
Right.
So, I mean, back then people didn't value life as much as they did now, and nowadays they do. So, it's a lot different, you know, and a lot of Shakespeare's plays are bloody and gory, so that's just part of it. Do you think this is based on a true story back then, or how do you think this works?
It could be. That's what I heard it was like back then in Scotland.
Yep. That's where it took place, in Scotland. Yeah, so, what are you thinking, Chuck?
Well,
why don't you ask questions and interact?
So, if he was trapped, he's killing his best buddies, so his goal is to become, like, king? Or
And they were in his way.
They were in his way?
Yep. He was worried they were going to win over him, so that's why he went and did this.
Was this more for him to become king or for his wife to become queen?
Him to become king.
So she wanted him to have power.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
Because she knew that he didn't have it in him to become dirty enough to be king, as in evil. But what do we know? He becomes evil enough in the sense of his wife dies.
Yeah,
oh,
she goes psycho at the end there.
She dies. Okay, and
well, she was psycho the whole time, but she kind of.
You know what he said after she died?
Loses it.
What?
He loses all emotion. He says she was gonna die sooner or later. So that just shows that, you know, MacBeth made the complete 360, right, Miller? I mean,
yeah.
He had feelings for after killing his friend, like he felt bad, and then all of a sudden now he doesn't even care anymore.
Yeah.
It's sad actually. Don't you agree?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, very sad.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Did she ever help with killings, or did he do it all himself and his buddies do all the dirty work, or did she just like tell him what to do and he did it?
She never killed anyone with her hands, but she was very influential in the killings.
She did help when he killed Duncan. She was the one who went back and returned the dagger.
Yep, she returned the dagger
to the crime scene
to frame up someone else, and she also was helping liquor people up.
Yep.
She was, you know, she would never go in and kill him with the bare hands or anything. She wasn't doing the dirty work, but she was out there helping, you know. She was out there working for it. But, you know, Shakespeare, it was a different era. I kind of want to talk about that, you know, how life wasn't valued back then as much. Do you guys agree? Or?
Well, yeah, and you could get away with murder. Some guys I've had did it. It was a weekly routine.
I'm 13.
13. It's a weekly routine.
That's a little Biggie Smalls line there for you, Manny. But yeah, so keep the discussion there. Let me see what I can get going here.
Well, what you were saying, what it sounds like is she, like when she would kill people, you said like she had to do with alcohol to get them. So would that that one kill them? Would that just pass them out and he would come in and do the dirty work during that?
Sure.
Yeah, but he did kill them.
He would kill him, and he had also paid murdered convicts to go do it.
Yep. After the first.
He didn't want to kill his friend. After Duncan's death, he didn't like how he felt.
But he knew it had to be done.
But he got brainwashed in doing it as well. He was like, this is wrong. He had a conscience about it. He had a guilty conscience, and his wife helped him get out of that. And after he got out of the first one, he had no problem killing people.
Oh,
so get this, Macduff. Let's go on to Macduff. Should we expand on the Macduff?
The Duffer.
Macduff. You know, a good guy. They're buddies. Macduff's kid Malcolm, probably going to become king maybe someday, they thought. What does he do? Kills his family while he's gone. Wife and kids. Macduff's family. Guess who ends up killing MacBeth?
Macduff.
Beheads them.
Carries his head around just like...
Just to prove it's just like a power statement, you know? It's just, I don't know, believe it or not, I enjoy reading the Shakespeare play because it got to a point where it was like, what's going to happen next? Because everything was so surreal.
Yep.
You know? It got to the point where it was nuts. So, I mean, overall, I enjoyed it. Mills, what are you thinking? Like, what do you want to...
Well, I mean, not my favorite thing is reading Shakespeare, but really once you learn how to understand it a little better, not a bad story.
Yeah, I agree. I think the reading and words are the hard. Have you ever read any Shakespeare, Charlie? I know you're a freshman and everything.
Oh,
a little bit.
This year we're reading Romeo and Juliet, and it's right I don't know if it'd be around the same period, but Shakespeare lived in that period, so I would assume so.
Yeah. Do you know anything about William Shakespeare? Like...
I knew that he would put rhymes and stuff into his words, so it would keep the audience going.
Yep.
And he would, during the more boring parts, he tried to throw in little jokes. So I don't know if Macduff would during some of the scenes would throw in little jokes. But the last thing I know about him is during his plays back then, no women were allowed to partake in them.
Oh really?
Yep.
So he'd have men dress up as women?
Yep. They would take boys that haven't gone through puberty yet, so they'd have higher voices, and they'd use them as the girls.
Wow, I didn't know that actually.
Yeah.
You know, we did a little research, me and Kyle, right there, did a little research, and, you know, we found some stuff out about MacBeth, about Shakespeare that kind of surprised me. They don't know when his real birthday was.
Nope.
They don't know really much about him at all, to be honest with you. So he's obviously a genius. The guy can write. Miller, can he write, or what does he do?
He can write.
I agree. I think...
Give him pen and some paper.
The Flop, that article that we read,
you know,
the nonfiction assignment really actually brought out some stuff for me. Shakespeare was so smart that when he wrote, he'd write a main meaning. Then he'd write side stories with different meanings. And that's the first of its kind, I think, for sure. Obviously, it's stuff's hard to understand. That's part of it. Because then you can think and take it your own way. Like in Macbeth, there's points where, what's going on? What's like, it's tough. You just take it your own way, and it's never a wrong way.
Yep.
And I think that's why people enjoy reading Shakespeare so much. What do you guys think?
I agree 100%. I mean, we're not reading the same story, but Romeo and Juliet, going into it, it was Shakespeare. Everybody quotes it. I thought it was going to suck, but it actually interests me a lot. Just the little rhyming parts that he throws in there really make it good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to say that too, that he has a lot of extra meanings in his stories, and I think a lot of people try and make up explanations for him to explain like why he did that, but I think it's more that it's up to whoever's reading it. It's up to them, not up to other people to tell them how.
Exactly what I was saying. You know, it's your own interpretation. There's obviously a main meaning, and you can understand that through a story. You're smart enough to like make that obvious enough, but there's hidden meanings, correct? I mean, in life we're living one path, but there's side roads to go on it.
I bet there was a lot of people that wrote plays back then, but it's his way of doing it that made him famous.
Yep, I think he did his own unique style.
Yep.
He started a new era, obviously, and he's still being quoted today.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's a requirement to read. How many of his books in high school?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, you gotta use the bathroom, but alright.
Yep.
So, Miller, what are your thoughts? Did you like the book? Why don't you give me like a little review and feedback on what you thought about it?
Well, I like I said before, a little confusing, but doing the capstones on them, we start learning, a lot more about the books, watching the movie, watching just all other kinds of clips about it, and just reading about it a little bit.
Yeah.
Start to learn a little bit more about it, and it's almost like you get to learn about how life was back then, so it's kind of cool.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm trying to connect it more to everyday life, with obviously the president's election coming up soon, so I think that's a good topic to go off. Obviously, it's about rule and power, and in this story, they obviously take it to extreme, and people have to die over it and stuff like that, but I think in politics today,
just give them a refresher.
Yeah. I'm gonna use the word attacking like an animal, but I don't mean like a real animal. I mean they come at each other for blood, and they're trying to bash each other, but they do it in a respectful way. And back then, Macbeth was respectful to all of them, but he'd come at him and kill him. But people knew, they caught on. Like that was his like way of doing it. Nowadays, it's like just as brutal, but it's not actually killing. I think more or less that's like a parable, like a short story of like describing of how it was. Do you agree?
So, what I was wondering, at the end of the story,
yep,
his wife dies.
She dies.
Does he ever get the power at all? Does he ever make it to king?
Not really makes it to king because
he gets killed.
Yeah, he gets killed pretty soon there.
He doesn't really fully come into power.
Really, it's Malcolm who becomes king after Duncan. Yeah. I wouldn't say. I mean, he might have been in power for a little bit, but
I'm never going to use the word he was in power. He never changed anything. Nothing happened. He was a general and he was winning battles.
Such a short time.
Exactly. At the beginning of the story, he was winning battles. He had potential, and people are like, "Oh, he's on the rise," and then it got all into his head like, "I could actually do something here."
That's I didn't personally read the story, of course.
Yeah, that's why we gave you the summary.
Yep, and it's a very good summary. And the part that I like too, when we're talking about Shakespeare, is it's not always happily ever after.
Oh, that's a great point, actually.
He like Romeo and Juliet. Sure, the family at the very end become friends, but their kids have to die to become that. I mean, I just love like how. And today, all you see is like happily ever after, like they move on, and they get
predictable.
Married. Yeah, it's like another same thing.
Yep.
And Shakespeare really turned that around. He put tragic at the end of it, and that's kind of like, it makes you enjoy it in the weirdest way.
It's almost like I said earlier. You read it and it's so surreal. You don't know what's going to happen next. It's like what the I mean, like what is going to happen next?
Also, in the stories, it's showing like plays from both sides where.
Yep.
At one time, say Macbeth is doing something, while at the other time he'll switch over and show you what Macduff's doing at the same time, so you know both sides of the story, you know what's going to happen probably, and you just get a little better background on it.
Yeah, third person omniscience, you know everything in the story, you know more than the characters know. You know what I mean? Like, we know what Macduff's doing, but Macbeth doesn't. That's a good trait as a writer to know, to set up more of a dramatic theme.
So when that kid finds his family dead, you know, like when he finds out that, you know, they're dead, okay, and he's feeling power.
Yeah.
He knew, he must have known right away who did it, because, I mean, if he's slicing his head...
Well, MacBeth knew. The father knew.
Oh.
The father came home and saw his wife and kids dead, you know, and he's like... Obviously, that's why the story got good. MacBeth is not a popular character, was he? Not by any means.
No, not at all.
So that's what made it like,
not
really...
till the end,
yeah, exactly. That's what made it interesting, is like... They don't even say this. Just say MacBeth's wife. They don't even really introduce her at all. Correct, Millie? Or the kids or anything like that. So like when it's more of a heartwarming feeling knowing MacBeth died, because he's doing it for two reasons: for the people he killed it for, and for his family.
Yep.
And for there to be a good king that deserves it, that got there the right way. And that's why I think it's almost like an honor to carry around the head of MacBeth. You know, I mean, it sounds bad. Sure, it's gory, blood. Yep, everything. Who cares? It's more of like an honor.
Well, and MacBeth even knows, I think there's something about in the story about how he said that if it was him or MacBeth who were to become king, he was worried for Scotland.
Yep, I remember that quote. Yep, he's worried for Scotland.
Oh, Scotland.
If Scotland, like someone help by they, you know, if something like that, like who's gonna get king? Either way, Scotland's in trouble, because MacBeth only cares about himself, and MacBeth is mature enough and wise enough and experienced enough to know he's not perfect.
So it's good, his head got chopped.
It is. Overall, like, you know how you said it's, oh, everything's bad story? I mean, good ending. It was a good ending in a gory way, which is a really big twist. You don't see that much in nowadays literature. I mean, I'm not a big reader, but hey, I'm a bookworm here and there. I like to crack open a book cover to cover some nights. And that, you don't see that very often, you know? So, I don't know, it was a good story. Charlie, what do you think? Like, compared to Shakespeare, it's not as bloody as Shakespeare. It's more bloody than Shakespeare, but there's still that dramatic twist. Do you agree?
I agree 100%.
Yeah. Miller, you read Romeo and Juliet. I feel like all the writers are the same, but they're so different, and that's what makes them so interesting.
You know, well, I feel like he tries to get like a different overall theme in every one.
Yeah.
Like Romeo and Juliet, that's more of love and stuff. This one, it's more of, you know...
Greed.
Yeah, it's more of like bloody, gory stuff, and you know, just how making bad decisions come back to haunt you.
Yeah, I think also it's also part of his life probably. Yeah, the love part. Maybe his heart was broken. Maybe he was in deep love. Maybe something bad happened in his family, or he saw a murder and he decided right away. I think he does what a lot of musicians do. Musicians, not excuse me. He takes it and he expands on it. He overdoes the truth to make people interested. You know, I think that's what makes him special as a writer. You know, so I don't know. You guys have any like last thoughts? You know, we have like a minute or so here to wrap it up.
Well, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I heard that William Shakespeare, he had to train his actors at such a young age to be one with the play, because if they did bad at their theater, tomatoes are going to be thrown and stuff. So I think that even today, he does it still good, keeping you just intact with the story. Like, you just don't want to stop.
It's a good point, actually, because he knows what he's doing. We'll leave it at this. William Shakespeare is a perfectionist.
He's professional, too.
So, yeah, I mean, I think that pretty much wraps her up. I want to thank Kyle. Thanks, Chuck. Appreciate the help. I hope you got a little more background on the thing. What do you think? You learned a little more?
Your guys' summary makes me, like, you guys gave me a good summary, but you didn't spoil it for me. I am excited to read this book when I turn into 12th grade.
I turned into 12th grade. Yeah, I mean, Miss Flanagan, she's a teacher, so you know what you're going to get. You're going to get a tough, rigid course, you know, with a good teacher that's going to put you under her wing. She's going to let you soar.
What you're going to probably want to do is stay out of that everyday club.
Yeah, because take advantage. Like, I think almost William Shakespeare teaches you that. When you're reading him, you're getting challenged.
Too bad we didn't read that first.
No, but seriously, if you're reading Shakespeare, you're getting challenged, but you help yourself understand it.
Yep, you know? You kind of want to learn about it, want to know what's going on.
You actually help yourself learn. And that's not even, jokes aside, because it's frustrating but exciting at the same time. Because you have a sense of what's going on, but there's still that confusion, and you want to know. You want to know what he's thinking, but he's so smart that he makes it so only you know, because you're thinking your own way. You know? But, Mel, did you have any troubles reading it a little bit, or?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Struggled through it, but, you know, different ways, trying to get around his way of writing and trying to find out what he's trying to say in it. Like, that would make sense to us nowadays, so.
It makes you, like, cross cross-think what you were thinking. Like, did that really just happen? Yeah, but just like how Shakespeare does that, like, he makes you just go, did that really just happen? Where you have to reread that part to make sure it makes sense. But not where it's confusing, it's just how he puts twists on things.
Yeah, it's nice to have like you know, I know you're younger, you haven't read it, but it's nice to have someone that's read Shakespeare to have a little more background.
Yeah.
To understand what really happened. Like you don't know what happened really, but you have a sense now, and you also know how Shakespeare writes. You know what we mean when we say it's frustrating and stuff like that. But overall, it was a good book, Planning. I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys helping me out in this interview. So hopefully I helped your background a little more, Charlie. I hope you appreciate it. So thanks, guys.